Alright, so this morning I'm listening to a piano solo piece by Austrian composer Beat Führer. This piece is called Voicelessness, The Snow Has No Voice, written in 1986. Um, okay, so the first thing you gotta know about this piece is it's performed like you play the first two systems, then you play the second and third system, right? Notice the brackets are overlapping. Then you play the third and fourth system, etc. And then I think you can, after the first page, you can just move to the second page. Um, because he himself copies this last staff at the top of the next page. So effectively, you get these two things overlapping all the time. I think there's some influence of Morton Feldman because it's marked 5 Ps and everything like the time signature changes each measure, but the length of the line has to match. So it's sort of like this is like a convention that um, Feldman would play with to make sure that no one was in sync, and it was ultimately like a different way of writing poly tempo, right? Instead of giving the actual tempo markings, you just give the two time signatures, and it's like, yeah, you have to play 14 over 15 here, for example. Um, yeah, I guess towards the end of this piece, we get some extreme high and low register stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty constrained. Apply careful use of pedal in order to conceal the pauses as well as possible. Extremely slow tempo. Tenuto just means somewhat louder. Small accent. So accents are accents. Um, yeah, to the effect of what I was saying earlier, the score is in proportional notation, effectively. Um, Accidentals apply throughout the system. It's kind of interesting. And yeah, it's a 10-minute piece. I believe I first was given this score during a seminar in my doctorate, so I would have listened to it 5 or 6 years ago. It's a interesting piece to share in the context of a seminar because it plays with a lot of different conventions that were already firmly established in contemporary music by the 1980s, but also Beat is um, one of those modernist composers who is also very good at conducting and founded Klangform Vienne, which is an ensemble that is still very active today. So it's worth knowing the name and the people he's imitating. Okay, so interestingly, the piece is dedicated to Alfred Schlee, who is a German musicologist active in Vienna. Okay, so from the beginning of the 1930s, he became the representative of Universal Edition in Berlin. After the Nazis seized power, Schlee was able to mediate the interests of the publishing house and the demands of the Nazi cultural policy. He applied for Austrian citizenship, initially unsuccessfully, but after I guess towards the end of the war, 1946, he was able to move to Austria. He took over management of the publishing house in the post-war period and was a prominent figure in Viennese musical life. In 1951, he formed the publishing board of Universal Edition. For 40 years, he was instrumental in determining which names were supported, and he succeeded in creating a balance between Austrian and foreign composers. He also paid special attention to those aspiring personalities who, due to the change in political situation in Europe, worked in the communist sphere of influence and were partly cut off from contacts with Western countries. Let's just go through the list of composers. Um, so I'm assuming that Beafure is in here. Yes, he is. Gilbert Amy, Hans Erik Apostel, Theodore Berger, Berio, Bert Whistle, Boulez, Francis Burt, Kerha, Diepiccola, Denisov, Einem, uh, Cristobal Halfter, Roman Habenstock Ramati, Anton Heiler, Mauricio Kegel, Krennic, um, Ladislav Kupkovich, Hertog, Rolf Lieberman, George Ligeti, Frank Martin, Martineau, Messiaen Pert, Mario Paragallo, Henry Posser, Rim, Karl Schisk, Alfred Schlittke, Rodion Stedrin, Kurt Schwerzig, Stockhausen, Takas, Alfred Ull, and Hans Zender. Also complete scholarly editions of Arnold Schoenberg and Berg. And rediscovering composers like Franz Schrecker and Zemlinsky, who were banned during the German Reich. I know that was a little bit of a slog, but I'll put up some episode numbers to refer you to episodes where we've covered some of these composers. Link to the recording is in the video description. And let's listen to this piece. Okay, yeah, so it's a really cool piece. It kind of takes you on an adventure. The slow build in the opening is really nice. It's like maybe more than a third of the piece, you're just slowly building up in these stages higher and higher. And Fuhrer does a good job of making it very easy to hear when there's a new phrase. Like every phrase, every layer that's added is very different, and he's sort of a master of this proportional notation, polytempo stuff, because it, the notes never happen at exactly the same time. They're always like slightly off, so you can hear the two different lines going on. I guess this would be the climax, where you have the three. There's a moment with three staves at the same time, but I would say the biggest departure is sort of after we finish this climb up and you get this pause at the beginning. So he starts playing around with larger pauses at the beginning of phrases, and he starts to have several lines in a row that are just the note C, like just pitch class 0 or whatever, um, which sort of colors the whole second half of the piece. There's just a bunch of these repeated C's. Surprisingly, there is one really high C that's fortissimo and one high C that's forte. I'm showing them in reverse order here, but so that's sort of a strange idea because everything else is so quiet. Yeah, a very creative use of notation. Pretty much could only work on a keyboard instrument, so well chosen, I think, in terms of instrumentation. And yeah, I guess this performance was by Nicholas Hodges. So there you go. I've shifted some stuff around on the spreadsheet because I had the wrong dates. So actually we're doing some more Lawrence Crane tomorrow.